working, absolutely. What we don't grasp is that when we hear of a town applying for a grant for police to the federal government,
Yep.
you start to grasp what has been done to us. Okay? You start to understand the grasp of it. You start to grasp it, okay? So it's incredibly important that we grasp these things. If we look at the Kelo decision, I look upon that as a land at the very heart of America. A lot of people don't grasp the enormity of the Kelo decision. Now, I just spent 2 days up in Auburn, New York, fighting for 3 people whose businesses were being taken from them to be given to a separate corporation. It's the first victory that I know of where we won. The Kelo decision is going to be used when this collapse comes. It's going to be used as part of the socialization process. What we must do is first of all, we have to nullify that decision. It is the main spear that they're going to use to socialize America. And when you think about the issue of the Kelo decision, which talks about property, again, property is the fruit of a man's labor in solid form. When you can coerce the property, logic says you can coerce the producer of that property, of the labor itself. You can coerce the labor of that individual. That is what the Soviet Union did. We saw torrents of blood come out of the socialist systems around the world. Whether it's a third of the country in Pol Pot, whether it's the Stalinists, whether it's the 8 to 14 million slaughtered in the Ukraine, the very essence of socialism is violence. And these people are violent people, mark my words. Most of you have not heard the little audio tape of Barack Obama when he was the sole individual who did not vote for the Instant Born Alive Protection Act in Illinois. Okay. His excuse, and I'm going to put it on my website, his excuse, and it's documented, the tape is there. It was inconvenient for the abortionist. The baby should die born alive, inconvenient for the abortionist.
Yep.
Now, that was his logic. I have it. It's going to go on. The audio clip is going to go on my website. Now, understand that's a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
Understand that.
It's insane.
An individual who's willing to let a baby die because it's going to inconvenience an abortionist is a stone cold killer. Keep that in mind. And of course, when you look at the little seal you see on the flyer, it says Constitution, it says subsidiarity, and it says liberty. You probably all have heard of Tocqueville. He was thrilled at the subsidiarity, everything done at the lowest possible level. That's where our liberty lies. That's why you must take the power from Washington and bring it back. Any candidate that comes before you who doesn't understand he's fighting on social terrain, who doesn't understand what he has to do to bring power back, kick him out the door.
Oh, yeah.
No, never again, I myself, never again will I vote for a pro-abort. And I don't care, he can be, my brother. I've done it I've compromised too many times. And I'm sure I'll pay for it one way or the other. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to throw my bones in those gears to at least slow it down.
Let's go.
So the next crew that's when this turmoil comes upon us, they're going to try to socialize this country. You're going to use that as the excuse. We must hold the republic and get together on the other side. That's the aim. If we can do that, we have succeeded. It's going to be messy. It's going to be, and the agent provocateurs are going to try to bring about violence. And we're going to resist it. But we're going to come out of this turmoil. This is going to be the second major civil war in that sense. It's going to be a war of politics, a war of ideas, a war of ideologies. But we're going to come out the other side with our republic intact, because our Constitution is the only document in the world that has ever provided anybody any protection.
And freedom. We need to
Question?
Could you please explain the Kelo decision? I've never heard.
The Kelo decision was in Connecticut. The town decided that for its good, which meant taxes, which by the way the people didn't want it, they wanted taxes, that they could take private property, seize private properties, and give it to a hotel. It was at that point it was Pfizer for a building, okay, to a private company. So it wasn't eminent domain in the sense that we're going to take your property because we need a road or a hospital. It was not for the public good. It was for a shall we call it, a derived public good. We think we might get more taxes if we give your property to that guy. Okay. This is antithetical, absolutely antithetical to the Constitution. Now, 5 justices made that decision. 5 justices also made the Dred Scott decision. Okay. The fact that something becomes legal doesn't mean it's right at all. Nuremberg was all about that, wasn't it? Yeah. The Nuremberg trials were about, gee whiz, simply because it's legal doesn't make it morally right. There are moral absolutes. And property, as the fruit of someone's labor, is a moral right of that person to own that property. Okay. So anyway, that's a killer decision.
Based on anything in the Constitution?
No, it was as unconstitutional as you could get. But that doesn't stop a bunch of socialist judges from ruling that way. Same thing with the
What was the date of it? Date of the decision?
The date was about 5 years ago. New York State is the worst thing to use for eminent domain.
And we understand on that question.
Let's talk Gillibrand.
Yes, I was Gillibrand. What would you like me to say?
Well, I had emailed Ms. Gillibrand on several issues, expressing my disdain to cap trade and other things, but prior to the health care signing bill, I had talked to her about why isn't anybody talking about the amazing amount of fraud in the Medicare and Medicaid system that needs to be reformed. My mom, who has since passed away, I have in my hand $10,000 worth of Medicare fraud statements, and when I called the Department of Medicare many times, they basically told me it's my responsibility to take care of this and call the people that you feel have committed fraud and explain to them that they've made a mistake. If this is all true. Okay. But, so my thing is that when you go to Washington, are you going to repeal the bill and let's look at fraud and other things that are caused by bloated government agencies that are just collecting a paycheck?
Okay. The health care bill, as far as I'm concerned, is totally unconstitutional. Now, we have the best health care system in the world. Or not. What we should do, though, is that there are things that can get tweaked. I firmly believe that what we should do is first of all, force a free market. If it takes federal law to do it, fine. But for instance, New York State we should not be held hostage inside the state to a collusion between politicians and insurance companies, which is exactly what happened. So what I'd like to see is, in essence, what happened to the Bell system. The Bell system, at that time, people walked around after a certain time with bell-shaped heads. And the thing is that when the idea of undoing and freeing up the whole communication system started up, Oh, inside the house, it was all the world was going to come to an end. The telephone's going, worry, yada, 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 oh, this guy's going to fall. What happened was the greatest blossoming of communication systems in the world. The $80 billion that was the sum total of assets of the Bell system when the breakup took place is now over, I think it was 1998, it was worth over $980 billion. Okay? And then we also, if you're a little bit older, you remember paying 25 cents a message minute. Okay? Yeah, I see some heads, you know. Okay? But the thing is, now you can get virtually unlimited for $25 a month, and you get fantastic service. Why? Because we let the free enterprise system work. That's what I want to see. Also, in fraud, there's about 2% of the Medicare and Medicaid budget goes towards fraud detection.